He stood quietly outside the sleek glass doors, clutching his briefcase, unnoticed by everyone who passed. The receptionist didn't make eye contact. Security gave him a look, the kind that said, "You don't belong here." He was told to wait, just wait, while others were ushered in with warm smiles and handshakes. They assumed he was lost, or worse, lying. But what none of them realized was this: the meeting they were preparing for. It wouldn't begin without him. Because he was the one they were all waiting for. It wasn't his first time walking into a corporate building, but this one felt different. The stares started the moment he stepped out of the elevator. Polished shoes, tailored suit, briefcase in hand, and yet, something about him made people pause. Maybe it was his skin. Maybe it was the way he walked with quiet confidence. Or maybe, it was the simple fact that no one expected him to be in charge.
If you believe in justice, hit like, subscribe, and tap the bell so you never miss a story that matters.
He reached the lobby early intentionally. A test. To see if anything had changed since his last visit here, back when he was just a consultant, barely acknowledged. Today, he owned the majority share. Today, this company had a new CEO. But no one knew that. Not yet. The receptionist didn't look up when he greeted her. Instead, she glanced quickly, as if irritated, and asked him to wait. There was a tone in her voice, casual, dismissive, detached. She didn't ask his name. Didn't ask who he was here to meet. Just pointed to the waiting area near the door. People came and went. Men in suits were greeted with handshakes. Some were even escorted in with espresso. But he sat. Invisible. He could have spoken up. Shown his ID. Demanded respect. But he didn't. Because sometimes, it's better to let the world reveal its assumptions before you tear them down. And in just a few minutes, this lobby, and everyone in it, would never forget who they made wait outside. The clock ticked slowly. 10 minutes. Then 15. Still, no one had asked his name. He sat quietly, watching. A young intern brushed past him without a glance. Two executives chuckled in the hallway, talking about the new boss flying in from out of state. They speculated about what he'd look like. One joked, "Bet he's another gray-haired Ivy League suit. Hopefully, not too stiff." The other laughed and nodded. They never imagined he was already in the room. Listening. A manager finally approached him, but not to help. "Sir," she said cautiously, "this lobby is for scheduled guests. Are you making a delivery?" He smiled. "No. I'm here for the executive meeting on the 15th floor." Her eyebrows raised just slightly, then settled into suspicion. "Name?" He gave it. Her lips parted for a second. Then she recovered, quickly covering her reaction. "Just a moment, please," she said, disappearing behind a security door. Behind that door, panic was quietly setting in. The boardroom upstairs was already prepared. They had minutes before the shareholders would join via video. Yet no one knew the new CEO had been sitting downstairs, ignored, misjudged, almost dismissed entirely. Back in the lobby, he remained seated, watching every interaction. Watching how the staff treated others. Watching how people moved around him. The tension wasn't in raised voices or confrontation, it was in the silence. The assumptions. The subtle expressions that said, "You're not one of us." Security glanced at him again, whispering into their radios. And then the elevator dinged. A man in an expensive navy suit stepped out, Mr. Alden, the outgoing CEO. He scanned the room and his eyes landed on the only one still waiting. "Oh my God," he muttered under his breath, quickly crossing the floor. "Sir, I'm so sorry, why didn't someone escort you up?" "They didn't know, did they?" His voice was tight, panicked. Every head in the lobby turned. The receptionist froze. The manager from earlier stepped back, her face draining of color. Everyone was now staring at the man they had ignored. He stood, slowly. Not with anger. Not with ego. Just quiet, calm certainty. "It's fine," he said. "I learned everything I needed to know. Let's begin." The glass boardroom shimmered with polished surfaces and tension. Executives sat upright, fidgeting with their ties and cufflinks, eyes darting toward the door. The guest who had waited downstairs for nearly 30 minutes now stood at the head of the table. No one spoke at first. Until Mr. Alden cleared his throat. "Everyone," he began, his voice formal and uneasy, "please welcome your new Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Elijah Carter." Silence. A few tried to mask their surprise. One of the board members, the same man who had laughed about the new CEO looking like another Ivy League suit, looked like he'd swallowed his tongue. Elijah didn't smile. He let the silence sit. Heavy. Uncomfortable. Then he stepped forward, placing his briefcase down with a soft click. "I watched most of you from the lobby," he said. "Not one of you recognized me. That's understandable, I've kept a low profile until this moment." He paused. "But what's not understandable is how easily I was dismissed. Judged. Assumed to be lesser. Even as I held the key to the future of this company." He looked around. No one met his eyes. "I didn't need a red carpet. I didn't expect applause. But I did expect to be treated like a human being. The truth is, what happened downstairs wasn't about ignorance, it was about bias. Quiet, polite, dressed-up prejudice. And if that's how you treat strangers, I have to wonder how you've been leading teams. How you've been handling clients." A woman at the end of the table shifted uncomfortably. A man coughed, nervously. Elijah let his gaze sweep the room one more time. "This company is about to change," he said. "And I won't just be reviewing numbers. I'll be reviewing character." He didn't need to raise his voice. His presence said everything. In that moment, they all knew, the man they had told to wait outside, was about to lead them all. In the weeks that followed, the company began to shift not just in structure, but in soul. Elijah didn't fire people overnight. That would have been easy. Instead, he called for accountability. Every department head was required to undergo equity training. Internal policies were rewritten. Anonymous feedback from lower-level staff was collected and read. Out loud. In board meetings. Some couldn't handle it. A few quietly resigned. Others tried to defend themselves, insisting they hadn't meant any harm. That it was all a misunderstanding. But Elijah never raised his voice. He simply held up the mirror and let them see what they refused to before. For the receptionist who dismissed him, he arranged a one-on-one meeting. Not to punish, but to teach. She cried before he even spoke. "I didn't know," she whispered. "I know," he said. "That's the problem." But this story was never just about one man being overlooked. It was about how often that happens in boardrooms, in schools, on sidewalks, in everyday moments where assumptions make quiet cuts. Elijah's presence reminded the company, and anyone watching, that leadership doesn't always come dressed the way people expect. And respect shouldn't be offered based on appearance, accent, or skin. He never spoke publicly about that day in the lobby. But those who were there never forgot. Because sometimes, the most powerful lesson isn't delivered in a speech. It's delivered in silence by the man you made wait, now sitting at the head of the table. So the next time someone walks into the room, ask yourself, are you really seeing them? Thanks for watching.